Hi, my name is Venetia Peach, and I'm a writer and a marketer. I'm the owner of marketing and communications agency Peach Revolution. So I'm launching a new series of podcasts on Lord Russell Baker's autobiography, My Way. This was published by Tidbury Media in October 2021. So we are going to discuss the very colourful episodes in the book. We hope to bring you new insights. Lord Russell, welcome. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very well indeed, Venetia. Very well indeed. So,
nice to hear. It's a lovely sunny day, so that's good.
Well, I've got to say, it's been beautiful here. I'm in Burr Castle at the moment, and I've got to say, looking out the patio doors here, gorgeous day. And it's been like this all week and last week. It's fabulous.
Yes.
Really warm. So,
yes, nice.
Enjoying the spring. Lovely. It's all good.
Good to talk about your autobiography. So that's what we're here for. Wonderful autobiography, suspenseful, gripping story.
It is.
And you published it late last year. So, I'm wondering, this is my first question. I'm wondering why you wanted to publish it. So what, came to your mind? Why did you suddenly want, okay, I'm going to publish my autobiography?
Very good question. So it's a long story, actually, because even 20 years ago, people were saying to me, Russell, look, you've had an exciting life. You've been everywhere, adventure, style, drama, sadness, and all many things, really, danger. So why don't you publish your book, write your biography, your autobiography? And I thought at the time, it's a great idea, but of course, I wanted more stories. 20 years ago, it wasn't right. And then, of course, now it's got to the stage where I've done it, and it all started in 2019 when a good friend of mine, ex-footballer for Norwich, Peter Mendham, had his biography written by Edward Cousins-Lake. And Peter said to Ed, go and speak to Lord Russell, he said, because he's had one hell of a life. It'd be a great story. So hence the contact by Ed, and we sat down in July 2019 and discussed the whole process. And I thought, well, this is the right time now. I've got some real life stories that can really fill a book out. And that's really what started the process. So in October 2019, I started to tell him stories, write stories, send emails, and the process began. It's brilliant, really.
Okay, that sounds brilliant. Yes, and was it a lot of work, hard work, sort of bringing everything to life and
digging into the memory banks?
Yeah,
I can tell you, digging into the memory banks is something I never was expecting to do for a while. But of course, when you get started, it's not a difficult thing to bring up all the memories you've had. I found it quite easy, actually. So my mind is very, very open. So it was good. And I wrote lots of messages on WhatsApp to Ed. I wrote many emails about various stories. And of course, then COVID hits, so we can't meet up anymore. So a lot of it was done on video calls, emails, messages, and it was quite a journey, really, because of COVID too. So it delayed things a little bit, but it gave me time to sit down and think, actually, and to put these stories together, real-time stories. It's brilliant.
Yes, yeah, brilliant. So I suppose the editor was Edward Cousins-Lake, was it?
He was, yes, he was the editor.
Yeah,
which is fantastic. So Edward did a lot of the ghostwriting, stroke editing. A lot of my stories I wrote as well, but he actually made the book smooth because he put the theme on the book, so it runs nicely from start to finish. Same style throughout. So it's a well-written book, actually. I've had a lot of comments on how well it's been written, which is brilliant.
Yes.
In fact, actually, one of the comments on Amazon says everything, actually, about me and the book itself. It just simply says, this guy, that's me, is amazing and bonkers in equal measures. And I have to say, that is probably very, very true, I have to say. Yes, so there you go. That's the book. Worth a read.
Yeah, I think that sums up the book.
It certainly does. It certainly does. It's a great story throughout, so one for everybody to read. It's got adventure, it's got love, it's got sadness, it's got danger. It's full of everything that a good book needs, really. So yeah, it's a joy to write, joy to publish,
and a joy to read.
A joy to read.
Yes, And there was one episode which I found quite interesting as well, right at the end of the book, where you went to Patsy's Italian restaurant.
Yes.
And so you said, okay, you were wearing your bright orange jacket. And so I wanted to know more.
That's my brand jacket.
How it was. Yeah, so that's a brand jacket. You went there and you found out more about Frank Sinatra. And so how was it? What did you learn? What was so special about that restaurant?
Well, it's a very special restaurant because I was with my girlfriend at the time. It's her birthday last June.
Mm-hmm.
So decided to travel to New York. Now, I was living in Mexico. So it was very easy to travel from Mexico to New York. If you wanted to do it from the UK, you weren't going. The Americans weren't letting you in because of COVID. But we were in Mexico, living in Mexico, so we decided to fly to New York for her birthday. And then I decided that it would be a great idea because we both like the big band music. We both like Frank Sinatra. I listened to it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Other big band music, along with other genres as well. It's not just, we like varied music.
Mm-hmm.
And I found Patsy's restaurant and in New York, and it's just off of the Broad as well. It's owned by the same. It's operated by the same family since 1944. The Scognamillo family.
Yeah.
And Saul Scognamillo, if I pronounce his name right, is now the owner, stroke chef. So it was where Frank Sinatra always ate his famous Italian food. It's probably his favorite restaurant in America, New York for sure, probably the world actually. And it's been frequented by other big stars as well, but famously by Frank Sinatra. He had his own area upstairs where he used to dine and party. He had a staircase
with his
friends
upstairs.
All his friends and whoever he decided to invite along. And he had his own staircase to go up the side of the building. So anyone downstairs eating below wouldn't know he was in the building at all. So it was a very private area for him. So when we got to Patsy's, I had my bright orange jacket on. I was looking all the usual style of Russell, really. very, very colourful. And we sat down and I started to speak to Sol. He came out. And I said, look, it's my girlfriend's birthday. So have you got a bottle of, this is a real test of the Italian restaurant, actually. Mm-hmm. Have you got a bottle of my favourite Amarone, but also not just an Amarone, a 1974 bottle, which is when my girlfriend was born.
Yeah.
Oh, well, have a look. I thought, if they've got this is one hell of a restaurant.
Yeah.
And they came out with this bottle of a 1974 Amarone, my favourite wine in the world, produced in Italy in the Valpolicella region, one of the best wines ever. And Julie started to drink it. It comes with a price, but I don't think it was that bad. It was around about $500, something like that. But it was worth it, and it was a beautiful wine. And then Sol came out, sat with us, and started to talk. He obviously knew we were colourful characters, and got to know him. He got to know us, and he invited us upstairs to Frank Sinatra's private area. So just the three of us sat upstairs, talked about the times of Frank Sinatra, talked about some of the things that went on there, talked about his daughter, of course, who sung "Those Boots Are Made for Walking," who is interesting. And he
was also a book, wasn't there? Was also a book about Patsy's itself.
Yeah, he presented us with a book about Patsy's that had the foreword by Frank Sinatra's daughter as well, Nancy Sinatra. She was the foreword for it. I gave that to my girlfriend at the time, Alma, so she's got that copy now. So it's fantastic, really. It was a great birthday celebration, and got to know Sol quite well, to the point actually where we were even talking to do my book launch at Patsy's Still Cook.
Yes, that's very good.
America.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get Nancy Sinatra to come along to the book launch. Yeah. Those boots are made for walking. Can't get that song out of my mind now. Anyway, but of course she doesn't live in New York or Jersey now, where Frank was born. She was born. She lives in California. She's in her 80s and doesn't travel. So the whole process of getting her to come to Patsy's became a bit of a chore. So that didn't happen. But I could still do the book launch there. It'd be a fantastic place to do it. So still considering it now.
Okay. So is that June later this year or next year? Launch?
Well, I'm going to look at that. I'm going to see what happens. I'm speaking to a company not in New York, a company in America at the moment. It's a Hollywood PR. So they're based in Hollywood, this organization, and they're reading my book right now. I'm going to come up with a view of how they would like to promote it in the US, because, it's got a lot in there with royal family. Of course, my title as well is talked about. The royal families in there in terms of Prince Harry and Kate Middleton,
Yes.
Royal Highness, Duchess of Cambridge, of course, who I've worked with, in charity terms. So
Yes.
Kensington Palace gave me the authority to put her picture in my book, which is brilliant. So I think that'll go down very well in the US. So they're doing that right now, Hollywood PR. Hoping some feedback in the next week. And then we'll start to talk about the launch and talk about Patsy's Italian restaurant again. Why not? Be fantastic. That's the plan. I'm not sure when.
That sounds great. And also on that, during that trip, you also went to a Central Park with your girlfriend in the middle of the night. So that sounded fantastic because of all stories about people being mugged, and it's, so there's quite a sort of taboo surrounding Central Park.
Definitely,
so
it was
how
very,
was
very
how was that?
area.
How was the trip? You use a horse and carriage. So that sounded grand.
Very romantic, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Well, Central Park, going back many years ago, of course, was very dangerous. It was a lot of murders, muggings, rapes, and all sorts of bad things going on. But after the Twin Towers incident, in the early 2000s, the then mayor of New York decided that he wanted to clean the park up, and clean the park up he did. So now it's a very nice place to go around. So at 1:00 in the morning, we decided to venture down, get on this horse-drawn carriage, which was marvelous, and go for a tour around Central Park at 2 o'clock in the morning. We were the only ones there. Get off, have some photographs. It was absolutely fantastic. One of the most romantic things I think you could possibly do. So it was a stylish trip around Central Park. Very nice. It was all lit up. The lights were on.
Yeah.
Get to the fountain, of course, where Friends, the famous fountain that's on the Friends series, and stood there for photographs. It was just a tremendous experience. Really nice.
Sounds
But
really
of course,
good.
New York at the time wasn't very busy last year because of COVID. So actually, it was a very pleasant place to be. A very, very pleasant place to be.
Sounds great.
Read about it in the book too.
Yes. So what would you like to tell listeners about the book itself? So they've listened to a few episodes which we wanted to highlight. And there's so much more in the book, so many different episodes to cater for different tastes, isn't it?
Well, it does. It talks about my early sporting life, of course, as a football player and as an athlete. It talks about my life as a philanthropist and all the charity work I've done. As I say, I've done a lot of work that's included working with Kate Middleton, her Royal Highness the Duchess of Cambridge, who at the time, of course, when Prince George was born, she gave me a basket of Prince George baby clothes to auction in one of my online auctions, charity auctions.
Yeah.
So that was a very famous story, and the BBC and the ITV got hold of it. The story went round the world in all the magazines everywhere. Quite a fantastic story. So that's all in there with my charity work. It's got all my adventures around the world. So I've been to many countries. A lot of danger. Out in the Middle East, of course, when the first Middle East war was on. I was out in Ankara and Istanbul doing some stuff for Reuters, the world's largest news agency. But general adventures as well, in various countries that ended up with some quite dangerous situations. So it's made a good book and some great stories. And, people who read it just can't put it down. I've had lots of people now say to me, it's a page turner, Russell, absolute page turner. And it is. You go from one page to the next, you just can't put the book down. It's a great story. So there's many things in there, really. And it talks about my first ever earthquake as well, which was last September in Acapulco, on Acapulco Beach, Acapulco Bay. I was in the hotel, and all of a sudden there's an enormous eruption of noise, and the hotel was then moving from side to side and up and down at the same time. It's a massive earthquake. I think it's 7.4.
How did you feel when it happened, actually?
Well, I felt quite shocked. And the first thing that entered my mind, if I'm honest, was, my God, this is an earthquake. I've never been in one before. This is an experience. So another adventure for my book, of course, and we squeezed it in. But it was a 7.4. There's multiple earthquakes all around Acapulco at the time, 4s and 5s, all at the same time. This was a 7.4. Getting out of the hotel was an experience. Huge cracks down the stairwells, glass and everywhere, things broken all over the place. I didn't think the hotel was going to stand up. So getting out was the key thing. And then there was another 5.4 when we got outside, an aftershock. And you could feel the earth underneath you just moving. It was angry. And it's quite a scary thing, but at the same time quite exciting.
Yeah, I mean, were you hurt in any way?
No, I wasn't hurt at all. So I was just pleased to be breathing. I looked out the window, saw the balcony was still there, saw the floor underneath me was still there. I thought, oh, okay, I'm alive. Let's get out and enjoy what's happened. So a bit of an experience, but it's all in my book as well. Another one of those experiences that seems to come my way all the time. So
yes, and you're thinking about having other books, you said as well. So this is just the first of a series of books which you want to publish.
Yeah, it's the first one. I think at the end of the book it says, if you think this is Lord Russell retiring, think again, it's not. This is just the beginning. So there will be another book.
Yeah.
It's just the beginning. Much more life to live, much more adventures to do, much more exploration, and things will come my way as well. They always do. Yeah. In fact, I'll tell you a quick story. I was at Kings Lynn Town Football Club just a few weeks ago. I was invited by the chairman, who I know very well, Stephen Cleave. Mm-hmm. And I met this rather famous chap there, Anthony Osmond Evans. He came and sat at my table pre-lunch. He said, "Is that your book?" I said, "Yes, it is, Anthony." He said, "I want to buy it." So he bought my book, and he said he'd come back to me on the Tuesday. This is a Saturday. Come back to me on the Tuesday with his view. Well, I didn't know who he was at the time, so he gave me some money, and I gave him a copy of my hardback, signed it, and put my phone number in an email, and he duly came back. And do you know what? It's quite interesting because he's a publisher, a very famous publisher, author. He's got many books out there himself on Amazon, and he was absolutely overawed with my book. He said it was absolutely fabulous story, great lifestyle, well written, some superb comments back from an author, which is unusual, but he meant it.
That's brilliant.
And then came up with a very quick story. He said, "Well, you know, Russell, your book's called My Way, Frank Sinatra, and of course I do things my way anyway. It's the Lord Russell way, so duly named My Way." He said, this is Anthony Osmond Evans, when I was living in the south of France, he said, I was sat on Shirley Bassey's knee, and we were both drunk, and we both started to sing My Way. So it was quite a story. And he knew Ava Gardner as well, who was famously one of Frank Sinatra's girlfriends, and Ava Gardner loved Frank always until her death. Sad story. A bit similar to some of my stories, actually.
Yeah.
In the book itself. So, yeah, quite a story. So he's a lovely man, actually, and coming up with those stories is brilliant to hear. Fantastic. So he's got a copy of my book now.
That's lovely. Yes. Yeah. So if anyone wants to buy the book, so the book is on Amazon. You've got a Kindle version and the hardback copy. I've
got a Kindle version and a softback version on Amazon. They're available now, softback. Mm-hmm. So you can buy the My Way, my autobiography by Lord Russell Baker on Amazon. In Kindle version and in softback, or get in touch with me personally, and I'll provide you with a hardback, superb quality hardback version. And they're beautifully well designed. They're stunning books, signed, of course, as well as a first edition. So get in touch with me personally, and I will duly sign one and send one out. That's the way to purchase my book.
That sounds great. So I hope the listeners have understood where to get hold of you, where to get hold of the book. And do you want to have anything to say to our listeners?
Well, yeah, absolutely. If enjoy my book, should you purchase it, you should. It really is a bestseller. It's going to be a bestseller. It's an awesome book. But I was on Amazon. It's called My Way by Lord Russell Baker. And if you want to contact me personally, then just drop me an email at russell@norfolklord.co.uk. And we can then exchange emails, make payment, and I can send the book out. It's very simple process.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So, Lord Russell, it was lovely to speak to you.
Oh, nice to speak to you as well, Manisha.
Thank you very much for your participation. And we'll have more. So the next podcast is due in a fortnight. So this is just the first of a series of podcasts.
It is.
So it's going to be very exciting, delving into the different episodes and trying to bring every episode to life for our listeners. So
absolutely.
So it's quite a pleasure to talk about your episodes as well, I suppose, for both of us. And so please subscribe. So this is for our listeners. Please subscribe. Look for a new podcast episode on Spotify and all the main channels. Mm-hmm. So the next one is due in a fortnight.
It's going to be an exciting podcast as well, because there's so many things to talk about. So many things I've done, adventures, danger. It's going to be an enjoyable podcast, this. I can assure everybody. So, yes, please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
And listen in next time.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, Lord Russell.
Perfect.
Take care. Have a lovely
Thanks,
afternoon.
Venetia. And yourself. Take care. And to the listeners, take care. Bye-bye.
Listeners,
Bye-bye.
until next time, thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye-bye.